Sometimes we think life's kindnesses are just small, passing things. But what if those acts were seeds, waiting to grow, waiting to return to us when we need them most? This is the story of how one family's kindness saved us, just as we once tried to save them. A story about the bonds we build and the love that stands the test of time. Hello, and welcome to Hot Tea and Storytime. I'm so glad you're here. If you're new to the channel, here's what we're all about. Pour yourself a story, one cup at a time. This is the place where you can sit back, sip on something warm, and let the world of storytelling sweep you away. Whether you're here for a quick escape or a cozy night in, you're in for a treat. If you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That way, you'll always be in the loop for new stories. Plus, it helps us keep this storytelling community growing. So, pour yourself a cup, settle in, and let's dive into today's story. I think you're going to love it. The Bonds We Build. Chapter 1. James and Annette were just beginning their lives together. In their cozy, modest apartment, they were filled with dreams of a promising future, new careers, a life built on love, and the endless possibilities of what lay ahead. Money was tight, but they had each other and a sense of hope that made even the smallest victories feel grand. Their neighbors, the Levine family, had lived in the same complex for years. Aaron and Beth Levine, a kind-hearted couple with warm smiles, were raising their son, Ryan, with the same resilience and optimism that James and Annette admired. Despite their own financial limitations, the Levines were always willing to lend a hand to their young neighbors. They'd share meals when groceries ran low, offer advice on navigating work and life, and help James and Annette through their first years of marriage. The Levines became more than neighbors. They were friends, confidants, almost like family. One evening, Ryan knocked on James and Annette's door with a smile wider than the doorway itself. He had received a letter of acceptance from his dream school, a prestigious university he had aspired to attend for years. Aaron and Beth were overjoyed for their son, but as the weeks passed, James and Annette noticed the Levines' excitement wane. The reality of Ryan's acceptance began to sink in. Without a scholarship or significant financial aid, the cost was simply too much for the Levine family to afford. James and Annette saw the strain on Aaron's face, the quiet tension that crept into Beth's eyes. They knew what this meant to the Levines. They'd spent years supporting Ryan's dream. Now, it was slipping out of reach. After a night of long conversation, James and Annette made a decision that felt as natural as breathing. They would help. They pooled together their savings, money they had tucked away for their own future, and presented it to Aaron and Beth. "Aaron, we wouldn't be where we are without you and Beth," James said, handing Aaron the envelope. "Consider this a thank you. You gave us hope when we were just starting out. It's our turn to give it back." Aaron's eyes filled with gratitude, and he hugged them both, unable to find words. Ryan's dream was no longer impossible. He would go to university, and the Levines' faith in humanity felt renewed. As Ryan packed for college, James and Annette reassured themselves that they could start saving again. They were young, and life had a way of returning kindness in ways one couldn't predict. Chapter 2. Months later, fortune smiled on James. He received a promotion at work, one that came with a substantial raise and new responsibilities. The promotion required them to relocate to a different city, and while the idea of leaving their familiar neighborhood was bittersweet, the opportunity was too good to pass up. The Levines celebrated with them, their pride for James radiating with every warm hug and heartfelt congratulations. As they packed up their lives, James and Annette promised the Levines they'd keep in touch. Their lives had intertwined so deeply that they couldn't imagine life without the occasional call, text, or visit. And, in the years that followed, they kept that promise. Life unfolded beautifully. James settled into his role, Annette found joy in the new community, and soon they welcomed a daughter, Emma, into their lives. The Levines were thrilled, becoming honorary grandparents of sorts, doting on Emma from afar. Ryan, meanwhile, had thrived at university, graduating with honors and going on to law school. His hard work and the support he had received fueled him to succeed. 10 years passed in the blink of an eye, and the two families remained as close as distance allowed, sending photos and updates, always grateful for the bond that had brought them together. Chapter 3. But life, as it often does, threw an unexpected challenge. Emma, now a spirited 10-year-old, suddenly fell gravely ill. After a series of tests, the diagnosis was clear. Emma needed a liver transplant, and soon. Doctors identified Annette as a match, a stroke of fortune that gave them a fighting chance. But just as they felt a glimmer of hope, they received devastating news. The hospital couldn't schedule the surgery immediately. There were too many urgent cases, and the wait was indefinite. James and Annette were at a loss. The clock was ticking, and they felt helpless, trapped in a situation where every minute mattered. In a moment of desperation, Annette reached out to Beth, who listened quietly before comforting her, her voice a balm to Annette's despair. The Levines rallied around them immediately, unable to bear the thought of their friends facing such hardship alone. When Ryan learned of Emma's situation, he acted without hesitation. Now a successful lawyer with a strong network of connections, he contacted his colleagues and made arrangements to transfer Emma to a hospital that could perform the surgery without delay. Ryan also stepped in financially, helping to cover the overwhelming medical expenses that loomed over James and Annette. Within days, thanks to Ryan's intervention, Emma was admitted to the new hospital, and the surgery was scheduled. The night before the operation, the Levines called to offer their encouragement. "You were there for us when we needed it most," Aaron said softly. "Now it's our turn." Chapter 4. The day of the surgery arrived, and the hours stretched on in silence. James and Ryan sat together in the waiting room, their heads bowed in quiet prayer, while Aaron and Beth stayed waiting with them, as a small gesture of solidarity and strength. When the surgeon finally emerged, a calm smile on his face, relief flooded over them. "The surgery was a success," he said. "Both mother and daughter are going to be fine." Tears of gratitude filled their eyes, and they hugged one another, a circle of love and support that felt unbreakable. The Levines stayed by their side as Annette and Emma recovered, offering care and companionship, reminding James and Annette that they weren't alone. Over the next few weeks, Emma grew stronger, her infectious laughter returning to fill their home. Chapter 5. When Annette and Emma were fully healed, James and Annette invited the Levines over a holiday celebration, to a heartfelt reunion. The two families gathered in James and Annette's backyard, sharing food, laughter, and stories that spanned years of love, sacrifice, and resilience. The children played while the adults sat under the glow of twinkling lights, basking in the warmth of friendship that had become family. Ryan, now a man of his own making, raised a glass to James and Annette. "This moment wouldn't have been possible without you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You believed in me when the odds were against us, and I'll never forget that. Today, Emma is here, healthy and happy, because you taught me the power of selflessness." Aaron added, "Kindness has a way of coming full circle. We are grateful beyond words for the love and support we've all shared." As the evening stretched on, laughter filled the air, mingling with the soft sounds of the night. The Levines and James and Annette had built more than a friendship. They had created a legacy of compassion, one that would be passed down to future generations, a testament to the power of love, gratitude, and the bonds we build. In the years that followed, they remained a constant presence in one another's lives, their families growing, sharing milestones, and celebrating the journey they had taken together. They were proof that true family isn't always the one you're born into. It's the one you build through acts of kindness, sacrifice, and unwavering loyalty. And that's it for today's story. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. There's nothing quite like getting lost in a good tale, right? The Levines' kindness came back to help James and Annette when they needed it most. Have you ever had a moment when past kindness returned to you in an unexpected way? Thank you so much for joining me here on Hot Tea and Storytime. If you liked today's story, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. This way, you'll be the first to know whenever there's a new story brewing. and you'll help our storytelling community grow. I'd love to see you back here for the next one, so make sure to pour yourself a cup, get comfortable, and join me for another story soon. Until next time, take care and happy listening.